Hello everyone, Matt from Model Minutes here and welcome back to the workbench and another unboxing video. Today we're taking a look at something from modelling history, a Matchbox SAAB Tunnan in 1/72 scale. Join me as I take a look inside the box and see what this kit is like. So I think straight off the bat, I don't know if I can be as harsh on this as I am normally in my unboxing videos, because let's face it, this kit is probably older than I am. But I'm sure there's many of us out there who will be able to recognise the rather distinctive Matchbox livery on the front of the box there with this striking red, orange and yellow stripes. And on the front here we've got a rather well drawn image of the SAAB Tunnan as it's sort of flying over some mountains. On this edge here we've got a picture of the Tunnan and it indicates that we've got two different colours. So basically we're going to have two paint schemes in here. On the back it tells us what the paint schemes are. The first one is for a Swedish Air Force aircraft, and then the second one is for an Austrian Air Force aircraft. So they are very similar, they're all painted silver, they've just got a few little bits and pieces which are different. Got a copyright date of 1983 over there, but I think the tooling is a little bit earlier than that. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So you can see over here, I actually got this a swap fair type of thing, a toy fair, that type of event, and they wanted £10 for it, and I wasn't really up to haggling, and I just pretty much just paid it because I think there were other people that were interested in it. So I got that for £10. It's probably a bit more than I was willing to pay for it, but to be brutally honest, I'm glad that I did now, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So without any further ado, let's get inside and see what we've actually got, he says. So as normal, let's put the other stuff to the side and we will look at the instructions first. There we go, not much of an instruction sheet. We've got information down here about the actual aircraft, and then we've got the steps of construction starting up there. It's quite thin paper and nothing appears to be printed in colour on it. If I'm honest, that doesn't actually look like construction steps, that looks like decal placement. So let's flip over, there we go, it's all inside here. So a little bit of information at the top here, just telling us how to read the instructions, and we've got a key, not much of a key, and then we've got our actual steps. So in total we've got 8 and a bit steps, not that many. Down the bottom we've got some painting instructions for the various elements. So it's a little bit disjointed. You start up here, but then you need to come down here to make sure you've read the painting instructions. You don't tend to see that as much in modern sort of kits. They tend to keep it all in one place, because obviously if you did that, and then got down and went, oh, I haven't painted him, you know, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. So starting off at the top, assemble the cockpit area with the pilot, pop him in there. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're probably going to need to put some weight in the nose to stop it from falling over. We had the tail surface, canopy, cowling for the engine sort of intake and also the exhaust. Do some landing gear, do it twice by the looks of it. Is that a drop tank? Drop tank for the wings. Add the wings to the model. Adding landing gear. I presume that if you don't want to have the landing gear down, you can just use the gear bays glued in place to hide them. And then here, so this is landing gear stuff. So if you want it raised, you need to put it in that way, and if you want it out, you have to put it that way. I'm pretty sure that's what that's telling me to do. Cool. So flipping over to the back, we've got our paint call out colours, and they recommend the sort of Revell paint colours on here. So those are the numbers there, and I think they're the same numbers now as they were before. I don't think they've changed them since then. And then we've also got some more information here on how things should be painted. So yeah, it's a little bit disjointed, these instructions, but I suppose the information is on there, so make sure you've read them before you start on the kit. So that's that. Let's take a look at the decals, and there they are. And you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, they don't look too bad. We've got some common transfers up here, common to both, so those are like markings for like walkways or whatever. Then here we've got the Swedish one, then we've got the Austrian one, and now we've got one which is like, wasn't mentioned on the box. It's for an aerobatic one. So is this like a display team version? It's not mentioned, so I don't really know. But the only thing, and you probably can't see it on the camera at the moment, but they are not, well, they haven't survived. They haven't survived very well. They've yellowed. We've got these weird sort of stain marks on there. And now if I come in a bit closer and I turn up towards the light, you might be able to see what I'm going to point out here. Hopefully, he says. They're not really showing up on there, is it? What if we go the other way? Oh, it's difficult to see, but you can there. I think you can see it now. Is they have cracked, all of them. All of these decals have cracked. The second that we put these in water, they will disintegrate. I know that you can use liquid decal films over the top to try and save them, but these have disintegrated so much that I'm not even sure that that will save it. Which is a shame because they look really nice. Lovely colours. And they haven't yellowed too much. There is a bit of yellowing in places. But yeah, they have cracked. Every single one of them has cracked. So I might have to come up with a different plan when I come to build this one. Bit of a shame, but you know, happens with age, I suppose. So the last things to look at are the sprues, and you'll notice that we've got 3 of them, and they're all in different colours. We've got one in a sort of light grey, we've got one in a dark green, and then we've got a clear one. Yeah, and the first thing that I noticed when I pulled these out was like there's excess plastic. I've just pulled that off from the moulding process. It's just strings of it. Look at that. Ooh, everywhere. Even on the clear one we've got it as well. So I don't know if that's from the plastic cooling down in the mould as they released it. But yeah, it's I've never seen that before on a kit. But anyway, let's take a look at the clear part first, seeing as I've got that in my hand. And generally speaking, it looks okay. It has got raised lines on it. There aren't too many scratches from the age of it. It will need a bit of a wash and a clean up. And then we've got this sort of landing gear light here as well. Yeah, it's not too bad. The moulding is quite good. It's a little bit thick, but I think that's going to be a sort of theme with this particular kit. Because if we look at this one, we've got our wing surfaces. Oh, our pilot's in there as well. Let's have a look at our pilot. He's not too bad. I've seen much worse on more modern kits. Yeah, you could definitely use him. I always had this sort of conception that Matchbox was quite good quality kit, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't look too bad. We've got a mixture of raised and recessed panel lines and details on here. Some of them are quite crisp, some of them not so much. Flipping over to the other side, and we've got cockpit seat area, wheels, various smaller details. Yeah, but you can probably tell that the moulding is quite thick. It's quite a sort of, it's a little bit clunky. It's a bit of a clunky kit, if I'm honest. Let's have a look at the next one. There we go. So I think this is probably the sprue which shows it off the most. It's like, it's got these really sort of deep panel lines, but then the plastic around them has ballooned a little bit. It's got, although I think it's like, it's obviously is a scale model, it's got a slight sort of toy-like look to it, especially with the shine. But maybe that was the style of the time. You'll notice here we've got some parts which have just broken. Well, they haven't just broken, they are just broken. this has come to me like that. But I imagine that they'd be easy to fix. I guess over time in the box they've just sort of pinged off of from in the middle there. We've got, what have we got there? Landing gear legs. Oh, there is even a little bit of cockpit detail there. Look at that. How interesting. Yeah, so generally, look, it says here, made in England, but it looks as though they've tried to cross that out. So perhaps it wasn't made in England, this particular version. And then we've got a copyright date on the tooling down there. Can you make that out? Matchbox Lesney Products PLC, copyright 1978. So the copyright on this is 1978. I did do a bit of research. Apparently the tooling is 1979. So I imagine 1978 was the year when they made the tools, and then 1979 was the first year that it was released. And now I've just lost that bit of plastic there. That's helpful, isn't it? I hope I don't lose any more bits. Keep that safe. But yeah, so that is pretty much it for the Matchbox SAAB Tunnan. Apparently Tunnan means flying barrel or something, which, I mean, you can probably see that because it's quite a rotund aircraft. But yeah, I imagine, like, if I'd bought this back in the 80s or 90s when this was out, I would have probably been quite pleased with it. So let's get it back in its box. Cool. So, what do I think of this? Well, like, if you had this today, you probably wouldn't think much of it, would you? You'd probably think, oh yeah, it's okay, but it's not like amazing. But I'm sure back in the 70s and 80s when this was tooled and first sold, it probably was amazing. A little bit of history on this kit then. So as I've said, tooling 1978-1979 period. This version 1982-1983 was when it first came on the shelves in this artwork. So yes, this kit is actually older than I am. And after that, it entered the Revell range in 1991. Apparently, it had new parts to represent a J29F, which I'm pretty sure had an afterburner, but I don't really know what the differences are there. So if you do know, let me know in the comments. And the last time this was released, well, the Revell version, was 2008. However, it would appear, and I have done a bit of research, that Revell have discontinued this kit, and the only way you're probably likely to get it now is on the second-hand market, seeing as it's been over, 15 years since it last made an appearance on the shop shelves. However, there is an alternative version from Hella, which was tooled around the same period, but it would seem that the major difference is that it has primarily raised details rather than recessed details as compared to this. But apparently at the moment you can still get that version for £10, but I don't have that to do a comparison with this one. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little look into a bit of modelling history. And I know someone in the comments is going to say, "Oh no, don't build it. Leave it as it is. You know, don't ruin something that may never exist again." But you know as well as I do that anything that's in my stash has the intention of being built at some point. Not sure at the moment what I'm going to do with these cracked decals, but I'm sure that I will come up with a solution, be it an aftermarket set or perhaps something to do with these as, well, not as they are, but to sort of save them in some way. But I think that's probably where we should wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments, would you get one of these? Have you built one of these? What was your experience of it? And feel free to let me know any other video suggestions you might have. As always, shout out to my patrons and channel members for the amazing support they give the channel. And if you're new here and would like to see more videos like this, make sure you click that like button and subscribe with the bell notification on so you never miss a modelling upload. Finally, the last thing to say is a massive thank you to you for watching this one, and I'll see you on the workbench again next time.